YouTube live start. And as you guys come in, say hi. Tell me where you're coming in from. You know where the chat is at, which is down to the right. YouTube live start. And as you guys, there we go. All right, we're here now. Let me know that the sound is good. Hi, Jenny. How you doing? From balmy Vermont. Yeah, it's not balmy here either. Say hello as you're coming in. Welcome. We're going to let people come in before we get started because it just became 1:30. I'm so excited for our live training on self-empowerment because these are all the questions that you guys are asking me. Hello. Oh, hey, Muriel. Hi from Berlin. I want to say guten Nacht because it's probably nighttime by you. I know it is. All right. Alicia in Maryland. Hey, Lisa from Montreal. Welcome, you guys. Say hello as you come in. A lot of people will be watching this after the fact. And if that is you, make sure you put the hashtag replay because I'll be coming back to the comments and answering questions for you. All right, we got Arizona in the house. Hey, Lori. Florida, Idaho, Colorado. Welcome. I'm so happy you guys are here. São Paulo, Brazil. Hola, ¿cómo está? Colorado's in the house. Welcome. Say hello as you come in. And I will get started with the training on self-empowerment. And really, you guys, you know how it is. There's a bunch of questions that already came in that I have in this doc right next to me. So if you see me looking down, I'm looking here. Yes, as Tracy said, she's reminding me, make sure you are sharing, and it says everyone in the drop-down menu in the chat, because if not, then only I'm seeing it. So you want to make sure it says everyone. Hold on, what does mine say? Yep, everyone. See, and then I say hi, and then you can all see it. So as you're sharing, please make sure that you're doing that. And if you have a question throughout, please put some question marks in front of it. So Tracy from Team TC can grab it and add it to the doc because I'm going to answer a lot of the questions at the end. Oh, Joyce B from Charlotte is here. Hey, Beth. Hey, Donna. Lisa from freezing Michigan. All right. Hey, Susan from Pennsylvania. We got Toronto in the house. Oregon. Ontario, from all over, people. I'm so happy that you are here. All right. Make sure your chat, again, one last time for people who are just coming in, make sure your chat is set to everyone so that we can all see. Because, you know, I love a participation moment and don't love it if I'm the only person who can see it. All right. We're going to let a few more people come in and then I'll have an official start. All right. Oh, wait, did I say Michigan? And it's Minnesota. Thank you, Stacy. Hey, Mary from NYC. Come on in, people. Go to the chat. Make sure you are set to everyone. Stacy. Oh, maybe you just said that so that it wouldn't be public. That's fine. Okay. Officially, welcome to your live self-empowerment training. If you don't know me, which I imagine many of you do, I think you do. My name is Terri Cole. I'm a licensed psychotherapist, a relationship expert, and the founder of Real Love Revolution, which actually started today. I'm also the author of that book right there, if I can point to it. All right. So I want to get going by just asking you guys a question, which is, how has your pandemic experience impacted your relationship or your relationships? Has it been good for them? If it has, you can put a G. Has it been bad for them? You can put a B. Yep, someone's saying bad, B, someone's saying good, someone's saying both, right? Yeah, we've got a combination of good and bad. Make sure you're sharing to everyone, right? JB, only I see that. Okay. Good and bad, both. Okay. So I'm going to ask you, if you would, for those of you who said good or good and bad, can you elaborate a little bit on what was good? What shifted? What changed? Just in a few words. We got closer, whatever. We slowed down. I don't know what happened for you. But if you would, because a lot of self-empowerment has to do with us getting self-empowered in our relationships. Had new people are kinder, relationship went deeper. Michelle said we shared a lot more. All right, for the rest of you who said something good happened, what is it? We started doing things more with the family. Interesting, right? It's like we had this collective pause because of being locked down during the pandemic. And there's so many statistics out there right now that it was bad for a lot of people. Lori said some relationships drifted apart and yet met some awesome new friends. Yeah. And I think a lot of us also found out things potentially about others that impacted how close we wanted to be to them. People looking out for each other, says Anne. Yep. People less selfish. Yeah. Make sure you guys, if you have questions, Tracy's reminding me that you put a question mark in front of it so that she can find them. Penny said, connected with old friends through social. We learned how to express our needs to each other, said Beth. I mean, that's major. Like, if you haven't been doing that, that's major. That's a huge shift. And perhaps if you weren't locked down, maybe that shift never would have happened. It's just interesting. And for people who said it was bad or that kind of bad things happen, will you please expand? And then I promise I'll get into teaching, but I'm just interested to see, can you articulate what made it bad? Did you guys break up? Did you fight more? Did you become estranged from people? I did a deep dive and ended a long-term relationship, said Dar. Wow, right on. And said, surprised by who showed themselves as selfish. Yeah. I followed the COVID rules and my children and ex did not. Lisa, that's so hard. Alice said, broke up and had more fights for sure. Penny said, bad, too much time together without establishing boundaries. We know this. That's the why it sneaks in. Hence why we have a whole entire module on that in Real Love Revolution. Katya said, my narcissistic ex disappeared on me and I had to get over him living on my own. Wow. Definitely bickered more with my husband, said Emily. Lori said, I felt I learned who were really friends. People showed their true colors, said Desiree. That's true. Joyce B said, too much time with family members who don't seek health, mental, emotional, spiritual. But once I could get out and start spending time with healthier community, I took family more in stride. Oh, it's so true. It's so easy to focus on it when we have nothing else to focus on and we're not doing our normal socializing with the people who are like-minded or like-hearted. It's so important. Stacy said, being closer and spending more time together brought triggers, fears to the surface. You are not alone, Stace. And that you guys, you want to be making sure it's to everyone. I just read that out loud, Stace, so it's fine. But your thing is on host and panelist. All right, Beth said, it's been really hard not seeing friends. I don't like feeling like I'm avoiding people or people are avoiding me. Absolutely. Absolutely. I was just contributing to an article today and they were asking me about love and about friendship and this whole, it's a trend where people are saying, my partner is my best friend, right? And the questions I was answering is that essential? Is that even good? Is that bad? And I really think that having friendships outside of your primary relationship is super healthy and really important to a healthy relationship. Because if not, there's so much pressure on the one relationship to be all the things, All right, Beth said, Lisa said, during the lockdown, I learned remember childhood trauma. Also not surprising, Lisa. I've heard that from quite a few of my clients because the slowdown, part of it is that a lot of times we stay so busy that it's easy to keep those things at bay. Not easy, but we have psychological defense mechanisms that are keeping those things at bay. And when we don't have all of those distractions, a lot of times they find their way up to the surface. And said, yes, agreed, friends outside of relationship is important. Oh my God, yes. I think that, I don't know. I mean, I have the same friends I've had for a really long time. And to me, it's extremely important to the health of my marriage that I still have that community with my friends, you know? But now I said, oh, hey, Terri from Toronto, I joined RLR. I'm so excited. Oh, right on. I'm happy to have you, Banaz. Welcome. Anyone else who wants to do that, you can go to terricole.com/RLR. All right. So thank you guys for sharing so much. You know, I love to know what is happening with you because everything I create is for you. So the more I know about what you're experiencing, the more accurately I can create something that will support where you are right now in your life, which is my whole deal. So let's do a little grounding. If you have something that smells good, I have something. I already put it on my hands before we started. If you have something, just grab it. I'm going to ask you to take a deep breath and exhale. Gently close your eyes. And let's just breathe sort of in a luxurious way where you're breathing deeply in and slowly exhaling. You can do this through your mouth or your nose. And I just want you to dial into your body right now. Just ground yourself in this present moment. How is your body feeling? You can go from your feet, just do a body scan all the way up to the top of your head. Continue breathing. And just with neutrality, right? We're not, no judgment. You're just, how do I feel? How do my muscles feel? Is there any part of my body or my mind or my thoughts that need my attention? As you're going through the body scan, if you come into a spot, it's for me, it's always my neck, my traps. Take a long, slow, deep breath into that area and imagine that that constriction or that muscle knot or that fearful thought, you're breathing directly into it and it's blowing up into a zillion pieces and leaving your body with your exhalation. And now intentionally roll your shoulders back down a little bit, right? We want to move our shoulders away from our ears and just feel ourselves grounded on the earth, grounded in the chair or the bed, whatever it is that you're sitting on. And just identify, is that hard? Is it soft? Feel the air around you. Is it cool? Is it warm? Bring to mind what the room you're in looks like without opening your eyes. See if you can identify any smells in the air, any aromas. And again, not that they're good or bad. We're not yucking it. We're just noticing. Focus on what you can hear momentarily. What can you hear close? I hear a loud clock. And what can you hear far away? I hear my geese groaning for some reason. This is how they communicate. They just go, meh. I hear that. I know you guys can't. Breathe again. Just feel your body relaxing. And now quickly, we're just going to focus on the heart chakra. If you don't know where it is, just put your hand on your heart. Take a deep breath into this space. Just removing anything that might be hardened around the heart chakra, anything that is blocking it, any accumulation. We're breathing in, and on the exhalation, visualizing that clearing up and leaving our body with our breath. This gives you the ability to come to this call with an open mind, an open heart. Now let's move to your mind. Bring your attention right to your third eye, which is right between your eyebrows and a little bit up. Let's do the same exact thing here. Anything that might be blocking your ability to see things clearly, which means that we're clearing out any limiting beliefs, negative thought patterns. Breathe in and just feel that leaving your body with your breath so that you can come to this call with an open mind, which is always a beginner's mind. All right, let's take one last deep breath together, and I will ask you to exhale audibly with a sigh if you can. Ready, set, go. Okay, gently open your eyes. Welcome back. Whew, I don't know who needed that, but I can tell you, I needed that. Now let's move into, quickly, I'm going to go through what I created, which are the pillars of self-empowerment. Sometimes I call them the pillars of self-love. Sometimes I call them, it really is the pillars of self-mastery, which all of those things really mean the same thing, right? Self-mastery and self-empowerment, they're really the same thing, meaning you are the boss of you in your life. You feel able and empowered to talk true, as I like to say, in your relationships, to draw boundaries, to tell the truth about the way you feel, to tell someone you're upset about something. But also it means you have the ability to go for the things that you want in your life, that you feel fear, but you can go forward anyway. You can count on yourself. You have your own back. All of that, and there's a million more ways that I could describe it. Those are just the ones that came to mind. That is what self-empowerment feels like and looks like in life. So any questions you have, I'm going to go through this relatively quickly, and then I'm going to get to your questions. I'll also be taking questions. Some of you have questions about Real Love Revolution that really the first module dropped today. I'll be happy to take those as well. Okay. I don't know what that means. Here we go. So let's start with the first pillar, which is self-awareness. So what does this mean? This means we have to get out of that, just burning through the day and dropping at night and doing it again, right? The automated way of sort of living, being on autopilot. When we raise our self-awareness, we're much more present. So how can you raise your self-awareness? You can do mindfulness practices. You can create a Zen den. You can do breathing exercises. You can do guided meditations, right? In the course, I give you a new one every week because it's a therapeutically designed way of tapping into your conscious and your unconscious mind when we have changes that we want to make. So part of it is when you know something needs to change, the first step to being able to change that is becoming the observer of yourself without judgment, right? We have to become radically curious about why we are the way we are. Why are we relating to people this way? Or why am I so upset about something? And said Groundhog Days, yes, when we are not aware, a lot of times we are actually getting up and doing the same things over and over. And especially if we're unhappy about something, when you become self-aware, you gain valuable data and insight into what you're doing. But more importantly, and we're going to get to that when I get to another pillar, but why you're doing it, right? Because listen, in every relationship you have in your life, you are 50% of that relationship. So it's easy to want to say, well, that didn't work out because that person's a jerk or whatever. But it's so much more valuable to look and say, what can I learn about myself if I decode my 50%? How did I collude in this relationship with what wasn't working? What red flags did I ignore because I didn't want to have a hard conversation, or if I didn't know how to have a hard conversation? So awareness is basically, imagine it like Yes, it's the first pillar in self-mastery and transformation and empowerment, but it's like just knowing, just intentionally becoming more aware. We are now, that's the first step because we are opening the door to transformation. This is the first step that makes it possible for us to change ingrained behaviors and unconscious things. Because this is the whole thing about changing, is that so much of this is unconscious. So we really need to, with intention, become consciously aware. Slowing down is a really important part of becoming aware, right? Meditating, all of those things create more internal space. But so much of it, the important thing is that you become the observer without judgment, become radically curious about yourself, because it's very easy to be like, oh, make ourselves wrong, have a lot of negative self-talk, and that's not helpful. And that is not going to get you to self-empowerment. The second pillar is self-knowledge. So this means knowing yourself. This means unpacking all the things that have happened in your life in a real way. And when you think about our self-knowledge, it's very tempting to have two sets of drawers, right? Like the fake memories, sort of like the memories that maybe I have because I saw a picture or because I've sort of shifted what happened in that memory. And then there's the memory drawer that we don't open, which is the really painful stuff. And really, I wish it was the fun stuff that would help us transform, but it's that stuff that we have to remember, because those injuries are integral in the process of transformation. So we need to know what happened and becoming an expert on you. So that second pillar is about becoming an expert on you and what you experienced. So we open both sets of drawers of the memory drawers. We are literally, this is where we start. So imagine that pillar one, you opened the door to transformation. Pillar two is opening the door to the basement, because a lot of information, and when I say the basement, I mean your unconscious mind, right? Here's the main part of the house. Here's your unconscious mind, that there's stuff that's down there, and it's not all unconscious. A lot of it could be subconscious, meaning at some point you knew it, but we push it down because it's painful, or because we don't want to handle it, or because we don't want to deal with it, or because we don't know how, right? And so it makes sense, right? A lot of times you just need an amazing guide. Hello, it's me with my hand up. I would be happy to be your amazing guide, because this piece of knowledge about ourselves, about our childhood, school, past relationships, like there's a whole bunch of things that we need to do. And this is where in the course itself, we do a lot of inventories, because it's not like you're just going to on your own remember all of these things that happen. So it's important that you are answering designed questions that can help get you to the place where that information is in you. And don't worry, a lot of people say, I don't have memories of my childhood, or I can't remember. I really think it's important that we dial into, we remember as much as we can, and then we have faith that if we're not remembering the specifics of something, perhaps that is our mind's way of protecting us, but we still know the overall thing that happened, right? We still know if we were afraid of someone, we still know different incidences that went down. So I don't believe you need to remember every nuance. So don't worry if you don't, right? In life in general, trust me, once you start going down this road and answering these inventory questions, you really, a plethora of information is going to be coming out. The only way we can grow is from any kind of an authentic place. So acceptance about what happened without judgment. We're not judging ourselves, and we're also not judging our parents. And in this, the self-acceptance phase, right? We've got self-knowledge, but moving into the third pillar, which is self-acceptance, because it's really easy to want to prioritize our parents or the adults who are in your life and minimize our own experience. And I wonder, do you guys ever feel compelled to minimize? Do you say, Listen, I know my mother was terrible, but I know why she was that way. She had a rough childhood. So I understand it. Because a lot of times when we grow up in a chaotic or dysfunctional family system, which most of us did, we learn to focus on the adults, allow them, like giving them a pass for behavior. When what we really need to do, if you want to become self-empowered, is focus on what the experience was of you as a kid, because that is where the healing is. You have every right to feel the way you feel. And it's so important that you honor it, so we don't keep these patterns of self-abandonment going by making it okay. Listen, your parents are human beings. The adults who raised you are human beings. You're a human being. We all make mistakes. But our fear of, quote unquote, blaming them is not a good enough reason to not go into the basement, is not to be in acceptance of the ways that they failed us. Yeah, Katya said, yes, it totally speaks to me. Banana said, yes. Lori said, yes, I find myself doing that a lot. And Lori, most of us do, right? When we're younger, especially if you identify as a caregiver, as potentially codependent. Do I have any empaths in the house? Because that's me, or highly sensitive folks. I mean, you could become, if that is you, right? You could feel overly responsible for the feeling states of the people in your life and your parents. Yes, so many of you, of course, you're like me. Yes, empath. Okay, very much me. Same. So even if your parents weren't super, super crazy dysfunctional, right? You may still have taken it on because of how sensitive you are. And here's the thing. Becoming self-empowered when you're an empath or a highly sensitive person means that your sensitivity truly becomes your superpower in a real way, rather than it becoming a burden. Because before I knew how to take care of and honor and value my sensitivity, it was just a burden. I was just exhausted from feeling everyone else's feelings, or feeling so compelled to fix everyone else's problem that it was impossible to focus on myself and my own evolution. Because is there any energy left to do that when you are so dialed into the other people in your life? So self-acceptance of what you experienced and self-acceptance of you. Stop focusing on what you think is wrong. Really, I mean, we focus in the course itself on the negative, inner self-talk. We have to become aware of that. We have to stop that, because those create neural pathways too. And you could just as easily be creating a positive narrative about yourself if you put in the effort and if you allow me or someone to guide you through that process. But all of these things that we do as we go through the pillars, it's one thing at a time. It's one small step of change at a time, because we can't change it all. Hence why it goes in order. Some things don't go in order. You could just open it up and just look anywhere, and that's fine. That's not this process, at least not the way that I created it, right? We need to go in order. So you get to self-acceptance, even in the painful stuff. We have to accept our lives as they were in order for us to move forward, right? Again, we can only grow from an authentic place of what really happened. Lauren said, label too sensitive. I didn't know how to be any other way. Exactly. Same. Banana says, yes, both HSP and empath, although I've learned my high sensitivity is nurtured and environmental. Yeah, exactly. So there's many things that we can do to protect ourselves. Someone's going to grab that question, Desiree, because I actually want to answer it. The fourth pillar is self-compassion. Now, this takes time, because what I find, and you guys tell me, because maybe I'm wrong, maybe this is an outdated thought. My experience with the people in my crew is that we have a shit ton of compassion for other people, and can be kind of stingy on the self-compassion. If that's true for you, just say yes. Do you find that you've got way more compassion for other people? Yeah, I see you. I see all of you. Suzanne, Elizabeth, Susan, Lori, Camilla, Desiree. Desiree says, of course, like, duh. Jen said 100%. This is such an important piece of our transformation. And the way the course itself is laid out is that each one of these pillars, we spend 2 weeks on each pillar, doing a whole bunch of integration exercises and meditations and all those things, inventories. With self-compassion, you have to realize that if you look at a little childhood picture of you, right, there's no way you would ever think that anyone should talk to that little face the way that you talk to yourself, right? Think about it. Would you talk to a child that you love the way that you talk to yourself with that lack of self-compassion? You would never. Exactly. Oh my God, Camilla just wrote never. Exactly. You would never. We wouldn't do it because that isn't the way we're wired. We're kind and we're loving, but why do we reserve all of this caustic judgment for ourselves? And so much of it is learned behavior. But the good thing about that is that if you learned it somewhere, what does that mean? It means you can unlearn it. And that is a process, though. And if I could have made this particular course shorter, I would have. I could not, because we must go through the process if the changes are going to stick, right? It's not just knowledge, because that isn't enough. Because theoretically, there's many things that you could go, so I know it, I get it. The difference between theoretical knowledge and actual change is that we learn how to do it in our actual life and in our current relationships and in the way that we relate to ourselves. So the last pillar is self-love. And this includes self-celebration, self-mastery. It's not like self-love means I never do anything wrong or we give ourselves a pass on everything. It's not that. It's you know that you are resilient. When you get to this point, when you think about your life, all of the relationships and the experiences, good and bad, they come together to be woven into the very unique tapestry of your one and only life. So that looks different for you than it does for me and for anyone else. But that's what it is. Because when we are denying the bad, when we're only looking at one memory drawer, when we are blaming other people for our pain or for our lack of satisfaction in life, we are not in a state of self-love, because when we're doing that, we're in a state of being overly vulnerable or being victimized, feeling victimized by other people. And the truth is, you can become empowered and make choices that are aligned with what it is that you want to create in your life. So self-love, you get to decide who is in your life, right? When we get to this point of self-mastery, we know what our VIP section is. We don't let everyone in the world into that. We tell the truth about how we feel. We stop doing a bazillion things that we don't want to do. And again, it doesn't mean if you have family, relationships, kids, of course, we're going to do some things we don't want to do, but you know what I'm talking about, that we don't do all the things that we don't want to do because we can't say no. And I think getting to this point in your evolution, a big part of that is being able to establish boundaries and communicate your boundaries and talk true and let people know your preferences, your desires, your limits, your deal breakers, which is why I have a whole module, one whole week we spend on that in the Real Love Revolution course. So when you really think about why now for self-empowerment, why now? Listen, now is the time because the world has changed. because relationships have changed, because the rules of the game have changed. We are in a collective, still in a collective pause in some ways. So that means that there is all of this space for transformation in a way that wasn't before now. So, because some people never would have stopped going at the breakneck speed they were going at. And in stopping now, everything is possible. You can make the changes because we haven't even established a new normal yet as a society, as a world, right? As a global community. Everything still seems to be in flux, which means it's a really good time to decide, what do I want to change in my life? What are my pain points? What is creating that for me? What relationships do I need to look at? How do I treat myself? How is my self-care? Do I actually love myself? What do I do to increase those feelings of self-worth? All of that stuff. And again, it does take time, but the time is going to go by whether you become empowered or not, right? These 3 months, if you don't do Real Love Revolution, do something else. But the bottom line is, if you don't do something different, how will anything be different? And there really is a strategic way to make these changes. So anyway, I wanted to give this to you. Now I'm going to take your questions. You know, module 1, we dropped it today. We do our first live tomorrow. We've got lots of people in the course already. We would love to have you as well if you want to come. terricole.com/RLR. You can start for as little as $97. And our kickoff call, the community kickoff call, is tomorrow. All right. So Desiree said, how do we refrain from minimizing, right, yet still staying compassionate and understanding? Well, here's the thing, Desiree, and this is going back to the parents, where we sort of minimize the ways that they failed us so that we don't feel bad, or we don't want them to feel bad. When we're talking about healing the child within, which is also some of the work we do in the course, in that moment, we're not worrying about being compassionate or understanding. In that moment, this process of taking care of you is all about the child within, right? What I care about is, what did little you experience with your parents? You can stay compassionate, but we need to process the truth about what you experienced so that that understanding or that compassion is not self-abandonment. Does that make sense? Once you process it, once you honor what really happened, once you write about it, right? Once you journal, once you answer the questions, now you have honored the 5-year-old's experience, the 10-year-old's experience, the 15-year-old experience. And now it's so much easier to see your adult impactors or parents, if they were your parents, as the flawed humans that they are and were. But we really can't do that effectively if we are denying what we experienced so that they don't have to be uncomfortable. And you don't even have to involve them at all. You don't have to talk to them about it. If you don't want to, don't. Right? Because a lot of times people feel threatened in doing this work because they feel like, so I'm going to have to confront this person, I'm going to have to tell that person. The answer is no, which is why we can resolve issues with people, even if they've passed on in therapy and in my courses, because we don't need them. We are resolving it within ourselves, you know? Yes, Stacy said, does RLR address codependency learned from childhood? Definitely. Because codependency, I mean, if I literally said, let me know who here feels like they might lean towards codependency, how many people would say yes? Just say it. Tell me, because I'd say yes. Right. You could put a Y for yes. Exactly. Oh, look. Hi, everyone. Everyone on this call is like, that's me. So of course I had to include it in the course, because at the very least, we have to understand what actions are codependent, what they look like, what to do instead, how do they show up, in our lives and how they undermine not just our self-esteem and our self-empowerment, but they undermine the quality of our relationships because everyone ends up pissed off. If you're the overfunctioner, then you end up pissed off because nobody can ever be grateful enough for all the crap that you do. The other person is pissed off because they feel like you're trying to control them because you are. So when we really see it in the terms that I teach it in the course, it's so much easier to make the distinction between true caring and love and codependency. Because I feel like so much of the time we're all like lovers and we're so kind, you know what I mean? We're like, I don't want people to think I'm mean, but I gotta say, it is not nice to be overtly and covertly trying to control the people in our life because it makes us uncomfortable, you know? All right. From YouTube, how do I stay grounded when I'm in fear of the world? Doesn't feel safe, recovering from narcissistic abuse, 1.5 year journey of healing so far. Well, you're definitely not alone in not feeling safe. And so much of what we deal with in the course and what I teach you and what I teach online and what I teach right here is how upping your self-care, how really dialing into what do you need to do to feel safe in the world? What do you need to do? And I just actually added something new to the course, which is emotional safety and security. How do we create that? Because you're not the only person who has been having that experience. So we added sort of a bonus into the course of creating it for ourselves. Because listen, the world has always been unsafe to a degree, right? We feel more dialed into it right now because it's been more unsafe because of the pandemic. Like that's real. But yet there are many things that we can do to create emotional safety within ourselves, but also within our relationships. And if you're recovering from a narcissistic relationship, I really do think that the course would be perfect for you, honestly, because it'll just walk you through the process of building your self-esteem back and focusing on self-love, because that is what's missing. I mean, being with a narcissist, it's all self-abandonment, right? Even if it didn't start that way, but in the end, it ends up being all self-abandonment. All right, Amy says, I realized I was trying to heal myself for someone else, but not for me. What should I do? I feel overwhelmed with focusing on me. You know what, Amy? Baby steps. It's okay. You feel overwhelmed, you step away from the work. Breathe, right? Go into your Zen den, write in your journal, take a break, take a bath. Like there's a whole way that you can gently be guided through this process so it doesn't have to be overwhelming. And I think it is important that this is something you only do for you, right? We can't get better for someone else. We can't heal childhood wounds or heal an addiction issue for someone else and think that it will stay, because it won't stay. It has to be for us. But really think about it. Remove the thought about the other person and then think, how would it feel for you to be more free in your body and in your life, for you to feel good about yourself, right? For you to feel liberated, to be honest, to be truthful, to prioritize your preferences. That is what being mentally well and having skills feels like. So my feeling is, regardless of that other person, that sounds pretty good, you know? All right, Beth said, I took Real Love Revolution last year, right after the pandemic started. It was amazing. I signed up again as an alumni for RLR. Thanks, Beth, because I know I am now coming to it from a completely different point of view because I learned so much from it the first time. I am excited for the new videos. Yes, all new module videos. It's very exciting. We upgraded the entire course this year, which we do every year, but the module videos was such an undertaking, but I really just felt like I wanted to do it. So I'm so excited, Beth, for you to see the new module videos. Very exciting. And all the other new stuff that we added. We have breakout sessions now where participants, it's optional. If participants want to stay after the call for 15 minutes, Team TC is going to be facilitating where you can kind of meet the people in the course if you want to. Again, all optional. someone asked, could you give any insight or advice about how does someone balance the need for authenticity with and the need to be in harmony with others? Well, I want to know why you think that being authentic means not being in harmony with others. So now that's already revealing a limiting belief about what it means to be authentic. That if you're authentic, it's going to cause problems. You can learn to communicate your authenticity without having it be a total shit show. And even if you do it perfectly, will some people in your life not like you changing? Well, of course, because that's normal. But you will know what to expect. You will be prepared for the pushback that you get if you start changing your boundary dances or talking more true or whatever it is in your relationships. So I think that you really need to look at your desire for harmony. Does that really equate to being terrified of confrontation or any kind of conflict? Because that was what my gut instinct tells me, right? And realize that you are not that fragile. And the people in your life are not that fragile. We're not. We're very, very resilient as a species, I promise you. All right, moving on. Justine said, I've never had therapy. Should I enroll in RLR or take another course first? No, I think you can absolutely do Real Love Revolution, whether you've had therapy or not. All you need to be in this course is a willingness to grow, an open heart, allowing me to guide you. You got to be coachable. You got to be willing to do something different. And if that is true, and if you're nodding your head yes, then it's perfectly appropriate for you. The only people it wouldn't be appropriate for, just like no online course would be appropriate for, is anyone who has untreated complex childhood trauma. But that's true about any online course, because that is something that has to be handled in person, and it's not safe. If you have treated complex childhood trauma, that's fine. If you're in therapy right now, and if any of you are in therapy right now, you can ask your therapist if they think it's a good idea. I have to say, I have lots of therapists who take this course, and I am definitely a therapist approved. So feel free to, you can share the link, terricole.com/RLR with your therapist and see what their thoughts are. I love that. That's very helpful. Okay, moving on. Katya said, when a man ends things with you in a super hurtful and traumatic way and caused narcissistic hurt before in the relationship, is it a good idea to talk to him and make him understand the horror he caused and get the anger out? Or do you advise to not contact them anymore and try hard to heal, grieve, and empower ourselves on our own? Katya, take Real Love Revolution. Do not contact that person. Because here's the thing. It's literally like bashing your head against a brick wall. If someone has narcissistic tendencies and they harmed you and left in a traumatic way, do not give them another second of access to your most tender heart. No, we can process that in the course. You can process it without them and have a deeper understanding of why were you drawn to this person? Right. And it's really about understanding ourselves, not in a blaming way, not in any kind of a punitive way, but we have to understand if we have repeating patterns in our life, if we want to stop repeating them, we need to understand them, which is basically what we go through in this course. The course itself, it started as 10 modules. Then I did a bonus module because I wanted a module about self-celebration and to really set you off with like, what am I doing next after the course ends? So really we end up spending 3 months together, and it's a perfect time to do it right now. Because like I said, the spring is going to come, whether you do this or not, right? Life goes on, whether we make the changes we say we want to or not. Think about the course itself as a no judgment zone. Nobody judges you. And I also really encourage you not to judge yourself. So you'll see we have very specific rules of engagement. Any of the alumni here understand how we create the most sacred space, the most sacred community. It's not on Facebook. We have a totally secure server that it's on. It's a different platform. But it's a secure, beautiful space because nobody is giving anyone else advice. We're just there, supporting each other, witnessing each other in a loving way. Because I don't want you doing what you do in life in my course. If you are the overfunctioner, always fixing for other people, always have the idea, always know what people should do, you're a coach, you're a therapist, you're a person who's the fixer, you're not going to do that in this course, because maybe for the first time in your life, you're going to keep your eye on your own paper and do your own work. And what a relief that you don't have to worry about it. You know why? Because I got it. So whether you're a therapist or whether you're a coach, if you're in this course, I'm the only therapist and I'm the only coach. So I got you for sure. You don't have to worry about it. All right. Anne said, is there anything we can do to help a family member who's in a toxic relationship with a narcissist besides sharing reading resources? Oh, Anne, I'm sorry. Here's the thing. I think that it's okay to have an honest relationship. I mean, like an honest conversation saying, hey, I have concerns. Are you willing to listen to them? And if the person says no, you have to respect the boundary. We have to respect it. And you can also say, if and when you want to change your situation, I'm your person, right? Like, will you help them if they say, hey, I want to get out, but I'm scared, I need help? Hell yes. I'd be like getting in my car right now. But you can't really have a conversation if they're repeatedly just telling you the awful things the other person is doing and not making any changes. So I think that's an important distinction to make for ourselves, especially if you're an empath and a highly sensitive person. We have to protect ourselves from people in our life who basically dump sort of toxic material on us, and they feel better and then we feel terrible, right? And that doesn't help them either, because it really takes away their urgency to make the changes, because now suddenly they feel much lighter. You do not feel much lighter. All right, moving on. Jennifer said, I am new to self-love, self-care, and working on myself. I'm a single mom. My struggle is finding the time to do it all. How much time does the course take up? Okay, it's about an hour a week for the exercises, about 10 minutes every day to do the therapeutically designed guided meditations that I created for you. And then you have our live Q&A course. If you do it live or you watch it after the fact, that's about 75 minutes long. So we're looking at 2 hours, maybe an hour, 10, 75 minutes, no, a little bit over 2 hours. And again, some people if you're a perfectionist, maybe you could take way longer. And if you're someone who works very quickly, maybe you could take less time, right? It has a lot to do with how you are as a student as well. Someone said, when trying to express myself, my partner shuts down, especially when we talk on the phone, and then hangs up on me. Well, I definitely do not like that. And then I look like the crazy person texting him how I feel. I've stopped texting, and then I just shut down. Here's the thing. We have to have rules of engagement, right? Just like in the course, we have rules of engagement in our relationships. We have to have rules of engagement. It cannot be okay for anyone to hang up on anyone's face, right? That's not cool. That is very disrespectful. At the very least, say, I have to go because this is stressful and I'll get back to you. You know what I mean? Like just getting that established would be really helpful. And I think you really need to really look long and hard about whether your partner is someone who wants to grow with you, who's willing to learn how to communicate effectively, because it is like learning a language, because if not, you're just going to stay frustrated as you are right now, Okay. What time of day is the course? Okay. So live calls are on Thursday at 12:30 p.m. Eastern time, but you don't have to be there live, because I have actually a big contingency in Australia, and we've gotten amazing feedback from people who were never on one live and said, I felt like I was, though. It was amazing. So you can work at your own pace. You have lifetime access to the material, which is also helpful. So that's the time that it is. And if you can't make it live, I've had my point is, don't worry about it. We also create a transcription of the live for you. Like, we make it so easy. We really have thought of everything in this course so that you can learn the way that you learn best. Some people might want to read it, right? Some people might want to listen to it only. Some people might want to watch the video. Whichever way you learn, that is amazing. Okay. All the lessons are recorded. Each exercise has a quick video explainer before you actually do the exercise, so that you're like, we want to make it so transparent that what to do, that you're not left in the unknowing, because many of people in my crew are perfectionists. So we over explain things, if that makes sense. And we have the most unbelievable customer care team ever. And if you've been through my course, you know, Katya said 12:30 New York time on Thursdays. Yes, that's Eastern time. Correct. Really, and one of the most beneficial parts of the course itself is the community, is this whole knowing that you are not alone, that you have nothing to be ashamed of, that you are in amazing company in this group. People asking questions, and then those questions being answered in the in our community area. You gain so much from that. You asking questions, other people gain so much. But what we all gain is this sense that we are so much more alike than we are different, and that we're all seekers, that we're all seeking to be on this evolutionary healing journey to self-empowerment. This is what we want. We want mental wellness. We want to feel comfortable in our lives, in our relationships, and in our bodies. At night, when we put our head down, we want to feel like, whew, I did enough today, instead of always feeling like we're behind and everything in life starts becoming like checking a box off a list. And so many of you I know are in that place because you tell me that you are. And I know you because I was you, being in that place and just burning myself out and then becoming resentful, you know? All right, I think I could take two more. Beth says, my husband says to me, you make everything about yourself. I think he says this to shut me down in the conversation. Is there a good way for me to respond to this statement? You can say, hey, I was going to say Bob, that's probably not his name. I notice that when I'm trying to share something with you that I'm experiencing, that I'm feeling, that one of the things you say, which feels like you want me to stop talking, is that you accuse me of making everything about myself. So for clarification, when I'm sharing how I feel with you, it is about me. So I don't know how that's bad, right? And I would love for you to tell me how you feel about things, because that is about you. But I feel like you're using that line as a stick to like beat me with. You're trying to shut me down with that line. But I actually am really working to not be offended by it, because I know that it's my job to draw boundaries in our relationship and in my life. It is my job to tell you how I feel, because how will you know if I don't? Even if you don't like it, because I'm willing to stand up for the relationship, I will still tell you anyway. I don't know if that's helpful, Beth, but that's what just came out of my brain. All right. I have one more that I'm going to take. Will this course help with healing from the end of an 18-year marriage? I didn't allow myself time to heal and now married again. Going through trauma and PTSD is hurting my current marriage. Can't seem to move on. Can't seem to figure out how I went from one marriage to another so quickly. Okay. Take a deep breath, right? We're just going to, Vanessa, just breathe. One thing at a time. This course will definitely help you where you are, because it's not just for people who are single looking to be partnered. It's not just for people who are in a relationship and know it could be better. It's not just for people who are in a relationship and they're wondering, should they stay or should they go? It's all of those things, because this is a boot camp basically about you, about learning why you are the way you are, understanding how you got into the first relationship, how it ended, how that impacted you. We do a whole inventory on that, and slowly But surely you just put one foot in front of the other. Me lovingly guiding you, Team TC being here holding space, all of your classmates doing the same thing. You are not alone. And there's a way to heal from these experiences. And you just need an amazing coach. And hi, that's me. So if this sounds good to you, go to terricole.com/RLR. I would so love to see every single one of you inside the course. We just dropped the first module today. We start our kickoff call tomorrow. If you've ever thought, if you've ever been on the fence, if you've ever like, oh, it sounds good, now is your moment. Because seriously, if not now, when? There's never a better time. And if not you, who? It has to be you deciding that this is a gift that you want to give yourself. We also have a 14-day money-back guarantee. So really, there's no risk. It's just, what are you risking if you don't take a chance on yourself? And I just would love to be the one guiding you, because you guys are it for me, as you know. So yes, I'll see you guys, whoever's already signed up tomorrow. Beth, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And as always, take care of you.